Nation, Harry here, dog days of summer, and I wouldn't have it any other way than to spend my time with Frank Olhurst. And Frank, before we get going, you're out in New York City, clearly, look at your background. The Before we get into the good stuff, because it is the dog days, assuming you're a baseball fan, have you watched these games where they pipe in the sound? It's a little freaky, man.
It's strange. I'm not a huge baseball fan, but, out of interest, I had to, take a look at what they're doing and really kind of wrap my mind around virtual baseball or virtual audiences. And, we might have been used to it in the past with, laugh tracks on sitcoms, but virtual cheering at a ball game, especially when nobody should be cheering, is kind of weird.
Yeah, it is. I was mesmerized. I watched on Saturday with my cup of coffee, and I was flat out mesmerized. But hey, let's get to the good stuff. So you dropped a piece back around the end of June, early July, on New Shield, and you did a review. So first of all, what is New Shield, and then tell us what your findings were.
Well, New Shield is, it's basically a startup, and they're taking a long, hard look at the problem of ransomware, and they're looking at it from a different angle. Usually when you encounter ransomware, the only way that you know it's there is that all of a sudden you can't get to your files. You get that message that, hey, these files are encrypted, you better pay us money, and maybe you'll get them back. Or, your alternative is to go to your last backup. Now, let's say your last backup is, 2 days old. That means you've lost 2 days worth of data, and you still have to go through the process of figuring out, what was impacted and how to remove the ransomware. What New Shield does is they take a very different approach. They kind of add a layer to, I guess, the files themselves. And the way the company describes it is that if your files are a blackboard, they add a piece of plexiglass over the blackboard so all of your updates go onto the plexiglass and then eventually make it back to the blackboard. So this way, if your files become encrypted, the only thing that's actually encrypted is that piece of plexiglass, and then you can just peel that piece of plexiglass off and get back to your most recent files before the encryption event occurred. So the idea here is that you can roll back to right before the encryption, clean the machine of the ransomware, and you're back in business. It turns what is a major problem to resolve into a matter of minutes instead of a matter of days. And looking at some of the recent ransomware attacks out there, it makes a lot of sense to be able to roll back like that.
It does, and I love the visualization by analogy of the plexiglass, because I've been using the summer. Well, Frank, I don't have anything else to do, so I've been using the summer to think. Okay, just I sit and think, and I bike. And don't get me started about Garmin and ransomware. That's a rabbit hole we don't need to go down. But as I go down, I found a big bag of quarters in my little home safe that it just were, and the store had a sign they need coins. There's a coin shortage. I took them down. They're counting the quarters, and I'll get some cash. And as I looked, not only do we have the mask, of course, and all that, but just the plexiglass that divides between the cashier and the customer. Frank, to your point, I'll connect the dots. I'd like it to stay post-pandemic. I actually would like that to stay. I get winter colds, right? The Seattle crud. I'd actually like that to stay because, to your point, the plexiglass is getting the cold, the winter crud, and it's not getting to me or vice versa, right? So it's, bail me out. There's got to be an analogy there somewhere.
No, there's a good analogy there with that. that you could call that plexiglass a virus shield when it comes down to it. And then you pass your money and your food or whatever you're buying around the virus shield so that
Yeah.
the viruses remain on the piece of plexiglass. Now, what would be really neat if you were to look at it from the point of view of you take that piece of plexiglass and you made it microbial so that it kills anything that goes on it, which I kind of think is an analogy for where we might be heading when it comes to ransomware. Where, all right, the ransomware event occurs, you have some automation there that, it doesn't get past the plexiglass, and it wipes down the plexiglass to get rid of the ransomware.
Hey, bringing it back to New York, I mean, my first experience with plexiglass and sort of just day-to-day interactions was the good old-fashioned yellow cabs in New York. And they did it primarily, I'm assuming, not so much out of the concern for my health, but maybe it was their health and violence.
So you couldn't stab the cab driver. That's what it was really there for.
Exactly. Hey, quickly, as we wrap, so where can people, well, I'm going to put the URL to your article so they're going to understand where they can get more information on New Shield. But how can a SMB Nation member, AKA computer guy and gal, AKA MSP, how can they work with this organization? Is there a partner program?
Yes, which is quite interesting, is that they're launching a partner program because they have come to the realization that, ransomware is as big of a threat to, the typical end user as it is to those folks who support the end user.
Yeah.
So if you're an MSP or a solution provider, you can actually go and protect your customer. And of course, I'm getting a phone call while I'm saying that.
Well, you know what? That gives me a gentle exit. Frank, you're a busy man. We'll talk to you. Enjoy the rest of summer, my friend. Talk to the paying client. We'll see you soon. Have a good one, brother.
Thank you. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right.